Hey guys, how's it going? I do a little bit more work on the bug while it's still on the lift. I gotta get it out of here, but I want to get it to the point where it should be able to get a sticker. And one of the issues is it does not have rear brakes. As you can see, there's a board pushing down on the pedal right now. And my wheel cylinder is not expanding at all. And the reason why, I'm looking right there, it probably got towed at some point and they wrapped the chains or the straps right around the axles and crushed the brake lines flat. I think that's what's happening. Both sides look the same way. This one still has the wheel and drum on it. As you can see, I can spin it, nothing happens. Emergency brake works fine. So I figure we'll take care of that. We'll take care of a couple of other things. I'd like to possibly retorque the cylinder heads. I believe it has blow-by on one cylinder, but we'll get into that. Right now, we'll just get the brakes kind of cured away. So one big nut on the axle, you take that off, and then the brake drum and wheel will come off as one assembly. Brake drums look fairly decent. Again, it's been sitting for 5 years, so it'll still burn off a little bit of the crust, but there's not much as far as ridging is concerned, and they don't feel too bad. A little bit of wetness around the wheel cylinders. We'll get a better idea on those once we were able to get fluid going to them. And the brake shoe material actually looks fairly decent going all the way around. So I got 2 brake lines came in. Let's go get that guy out of there and see if we can cure that problem. See if we can crack that bleeder and see if any pressure comes out. No. Let's see. We are definitely not getting anything out of that, so I would definitely say that the source has gotten pinched off. Alright, so I got this brake line off, and there's where the crush is right there. But you could blow through the line. That's not our issue. If I take the pedal, my cheaper board, I do not see much in the way of fluid still kind of coming out of that. I don't know if you guys are even able to see that. We were looking right here. So it has an issue somewhere else where no fluid is getting to the back. The light doesn't blind you. So I have no pressure here. The brake pedal is up high, so that's why I'm not considering the mass cylinder is not producing any fluid. I think either the flex line may have collapsed internally, or I've seen it in the past, right here, there's a T in the back. And if you run the wrong brake line in the center, like a replacement one, it'll thread in. But what happens is it goes all the way down to the bottom and it bottoms out on the crossover right here internally and blocks off that port, and it blocks off that port. This is the line that's going out to us. This is the line coming in from the master cylinder. So I don't know how shaky of a cam it's going to be. We're going to go try cracking one of those loose. I got to freehand you because there's no way to get you want to stand up in here. So it might be a little shaky. And we've got fluid pouring out of it. So I would say we possibly have a flex line problem. Let's I'm gonna back it off pretty good, and I'm gonna blow through this end right there. Put another line on it. See if I can blow through it. I should be able to. If I can't, then I would definitely say that that flex line is no good. Swelled up internally and pinched itself off there. So I'll take you back after I get that opened up pretty decent and get the other line on there. Alright, so I want to make sure that we are getting pressure there. The brake pedal's good, the brake pedal's high, but that that may have been just fluid that was dripping out of the line, not something that had pressure behind it. So I still want to make sure that we got to get squirt out of there. I could hear it and I could feel it. So definitely good to there. 98% sure that that flex line is no good. So I know I need a flex line on the other side, so I want to pop this side apart and kind of give myself a rundown of parts that I want to go order. Again, this car does not need to go anywhere, but kind of want to get it done. But I also want to be able to roll in and out of the garage. So I'm going to do another shopping list. I got to go over to the other side and get the nut off. So I went with my 1/2-inch impact gun that took this side off. That didn't work. Then I said, alright, I threatened to get Bertha. I got Bertha out. 3/4 inch drive. That wouldn't do it. Then I got the breaker bar out. That didn't do it. And then I got a good breaker bar out with a cheater bar. That did it. Alright, so let's go buzz that off. See, I got the emergency brake still on too. Let's see if we get the rest of the way off. Sucker is on there, ridiculous. Have the emergency brake on, car all the way down, in gear, and jumped on it, and it still rolled the car kind of like off the lift and was spinning the tire on the ground. Get the emergency brake off, and I'll pop the tire off. Let's get that come out of there. Yeah, there's a light above you, fluorescent light, and I think the bulbs cause a flicker on that camera. Looks pretty dry. Shoes look fine. Looks like somebody did wheel cylinders at that point. I think I'm probably, all the steel lines actually look good too. Flex lines just went away. Hose, brake hoses, flex hoses. I'm probably going to order all 4 of those, but I think we should, while these wheels are off and out of our way, maybe we'll get into retorquing the heads and readjusting the valves so you can get rid of the blow-by that we have. Let's go back under and I'll show you what I'm looking to correct. So, it's passenger side of the car, cylinder head, and the cylinder. You notice how it's fairly clean in between here. VW does not run a head gasket. It's just the steel going into the aluminum. And what happens is sometimes that seal doesn't have enough pressure on it. The cylinder heads, if it gets overheated or just over time or they stretch, the tension between the head and the cylinder doesn't maintain. So you notice how that one looks like fairly clean as far as, you know, no carbon. And if you look at this side, you see the difference. See all the black soot that's kind of coming out here? And you can see what's kind of leaned down over the push rod tubes. So what happens over time, it's an exhaust leak, but it's an exhaust leak literally right out of the compression chamber, and the exhaust will leak right out of here, especially when it's cold. You know, you rev it up, it'll have like a popping leaky sound. As it warms up, it gets better, because as it warms up, the head tension, the pressure gets greater on it as the materials warm up. So to try and fix that, we can get to the bottom 4 studs of each head. Each head has 8 studs. 4 of them you can get to by taking the valve covers off and the rockers off, and that's what we're going to go do. But before we get there, I kind of want to show what it looks like. And again, it sounds like an exhaust leak. And if you wait too long, it'll actually burn part of the cylinder away. So you have a gap just due to the cylinder and the head not being tight enough. But over time, that passage leaking through and through opens up a slight gap. So even after you go and retorque it, it's still got a little lump in the center of it, and now it's kind of beat. It's just going to continue to do that for the rest of its existence. I think we should probably, just for the sake of maybe video, and see what kind of results we get. Normally I wouldn't bother, but we'll take the plugs out and we'll do a compression test, see what we got, and then we'll retorque the heads, readjust the valves, and see what we got afterwards. This also looks like it was a bus engine too, and here's why I'm saying that is right here, and right here. These are the three bosses that a mustache bar bolts to. So this was in something besides a bug, or possibly a universal case, I'm not sure. That's usually not seen on a bug though. So back at the fastback, the reason why I don't have my start button, because I left it in here, because where this goes is down, around, up, and into that starter back in there. And it's not exactly the easiest thing to get to. So that's why I was cranking that engine with a screwdriver. But we're gonna go rescue it out of here. Got our prize. That wasn't so bad. Back in hibernation she goes. It's off the ground. Pop the plugs out of the engine. I'm gonna just show them a little bit. 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like from looking at the back of the car, they're laid out. And they're decently wet. You really can't go by it too much because it really hasn't run much and it's still running on crappy fuel. So, but the one cylinder I suspect, if you notice, is the driest of them all. So that's the one I suspect has blow by on it. But let's go get that compression done and have a better idea. So I have the carb with a screwdriver in it, keeping it open just so the air can flow in free. For our number 1 cylinder. I'm gonna call that, it's a hair over 90. And cylinder number 2. A hair under 110, we'll call it 110. Number 3. Yeah, 105, a hair over 105. And number 4. And it may not have bad compression, but still have the blow by. That's 100. That's good. Let's see if retorquing them and adjusting the valves to get any better though. So we were at the driver's side. I got the rocker shaft assembly off, which is that guy sat right there. Just unbolted that, got it out of the way. We have a torque wrench set to 23 pounds. And this gets done cold. The valve adjustments get done cold too. So let's see if it'll take any. That felt pretty good. Let's go check out the other side. Let's go see what this side has to offer. Sometimes too the studs pull out of the block, which is another problem. Took some on that one. Definitely took some on that one. That one's good. That one's good. So it's not going to cure our woes, but compression is still good. So we're not going to worry about it. Well, I got the valve train all put back together, the valves adjusted. They're all pretty loose, but you really can't go by that because I had the valve train apart, so who's to say where it was before we started. But let's go another round and see what we get. Pretty good. I'm gonna say we're just at 100, just a hair of 100. I think we were at 90 on number 1 cylinder before. Number 2. Call that one 100 also. And number 3. I call that 100. And the last one. That's pretty good. I think we were all of them are actually right at 100. Yeah, they are all, the circle ones are the second ones, they're all at 100. Where they 110, we had a 90 that went to up to 100. That went down. That went down a hair, and that went down a hair. I don't know if large valve clearance was causing these little bit higher compressions on these two or not, and maybe this one was a little on the tight side, but that's okay. I'm just glad to have the after effect being 4 cylinders that are perfectly balanced with each other as far as compression is concerned. And again, this is just to try to assess what we got for a car. I just don't know what we have, and if this cylinder has some blow by or not, I'm not sure. What happens is the pressure can be high, that the cylinder head is here. Here's the piston going up. When it goes up, builds compression, then it fires. That's when it has enough power to overcome and leak out of here, and you get a little bit of exhaust leak between that and this, here's the cylinder head. This part up here is the cylinder head. It's leaking out in between there. Or that's perfectly fine, and the car just has an exhaust leak, and this might be just oil and debris coming down from, there's an oil cooler up in the middle up here that has oil seals underneath of it. Sometimes they have a tendency to seep, and it can run down oil and make it have that same appearance too. But we don't know until we look into these things, right? And that's what we're doing. Well, that's all back together, but one thing, that belt, she's a tad too loose. She's ridiculously loose, actually. So the way they adjust is they have shims between the 2 halves of the top pulley. So you can move the shims around, and you got to keep a certain amount of shims. So some of them go on the outside, or else the gap won't close up. So we are going to let's try taking 2 of them out of there. If I did 1, it wasn't going to be enough. If I'm going to do 2, it's going to be too much. It's just the way it works, right? And then they just get restacked back on the outside, because the generator or alternator sits on a stand. It's not like it's around the fan behind it. It's not on you loosen the bolt up and rotate it kind of deal. The fan in the back has that same setup too. It's got the same shims, and you could shim the fan in and out if it rubs on the housing. Let's see what that's doing. Too tight. You knew that was going to happen, right? I did too. Let's see what I can get for overshooting. So one of them are going to go back in. Be fine. The belt kind of takes a lot of beating, because it's got the drag from the generator trying to produce power, and it's also running the fan. So if it's too loose, it will take it'll start slipping. Won't be spinning the fan fast enough, or your charging system. Too tight, and you take out the bearings on the generator. That's a little more loose than I would want, but you got to go with what you got, right? I went to go and put the wires back on, and the fuel shutoff, idle shutoff, is loose. I give a little bit of crank down on that, put the wires back on, and fire it up. I could even start it up from back here, because it got this nifty little starter button hooked up. And the keys on. That ain't right. It is missing the little brass accelerator pump nozzle. Not in the carb. So I went to go pump the gas, and immediately noticed that the gas went to go shoot straight up. There's supposed to be a little brass elbow that I do not see. Pop the top of that carburetor off, go take a peek. Thing is, where'd it go? It got sucked up in the intake and went through the system. And fortunately, it's tiny, but that can't be too good for it. And here's the parts one from the stash that came from the property. And that is our prize right there. That guy needs to come with us. Get cleaned up first. and then put in that carburetor. And what was weird is there was 3 carburetors up in that box, and 3 of them were missing it. So I have a feeling maybe it was one of their kind of tune-up tricks. Maybe they felt that having it kind of maybe getting more volume and dribbling in was better than the nozzle going in. I don't know, but it's very rare to see one of them missing, and then to see 3 of them missing. Actually 4, because of the one that was missing on here, missing from the same setup. Leads me to believe that maybe somebody did something a little wacky. Can you see? It's gonna run out of fuel in the float bowl. So you're gonna look right at the end right there. That's the squirt that kind of goes in and kind of hits the throttle plate on the bottom and atomizes and breaks up. So as you nail the gas, it gives you a little bit extra fuel. That's where it comes from. But when I looked in, it was just bubbling straight up and going down. Let's put that carb back together. I'm going to pop that gasket off, look at the float ball, see if it's really nasty or not first, but then put that back together and we'll fire it up. And in a way, that kind of makes me feel good, because engines are not very good at digesting little metal pieces through them. So hopefully that was just left out. Alright, I think the key's on. We should be ready to go. We'll leave the choke off. I've dumped a bunch of fuel down the center of it, so. I'll let that warm up for a while. Actually sounds pretty good. Running old fuel still. This fuel is still 5 years old, so. Good, I'm just trying to do an assessment on it and fine-tune everything a little bit and see if make sure we don't have any major issues. Carb should be taken apart, you know, cleaned and soaked in a carb kit put in it, and you know, wires look decent. They're not my favorite brand. Plugs are Bosch, that's good. And it's not leaking oil. Valves are adjusted, and I think we're just gonna run some fresh gas through it and let it run a little bit, and be more concerned with dealing with the getting the brakes done and all that kind of thing, and getting this so it can kind of local drive. And see how it goes. We'll just kind of keep picking away at it. We're going in from the driver's side, and that's the transmission straight ahead of you, and that drain plug right there. Just want to go check the trans fluid. So it's going to be that guy that inverted on head. We're going to pop that out of there, and as long as you can stick your finger in the hole and go down and touch gear oil, you know you're good. If it's anything down below, say a ½ inch below that hole, it's going to need to be topped off. I'm going to take care of that just so I make sure we don't burn the transmission up. This is a big Allen wrench I got stuck in there. I'm going to throw 17 millimeter. I'm going to throw the 17 millimeter wrench on that. Spin that out of there. Do a little doctor's orders. And hopefully, this car seems like it's been pretty well maintained though, you know. Hopefully. Here we go. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Touch oil right away. About 1/4 of an inch down. So all things check out fairly decent. Sorry about that, just smashed you in the head. I need to get under there and look where you guys are. So I'll put that all back together. I don't think I need to share that part with you, do I? Hey guys, I don't know, it's like a day or two later, and we have flex lines. So those, we'll get rid of those guys, and I'll get them all hooked up and see if we can get some brake fluid actually making it to the wheel cylinder and get some rear brakes in this thing. So I'm going to skip the part of actually changing the lines, but I'll bring you back. Alright, brake lines are all on. And this is a self bleeder. What it does is basically it has a check valve on the end of it. Fluid can go one direction, but air can't go back in. So if you leave the bleeder open, you should be able to pump fluid through, get the air out of the system, and have it. It's already open. Have it purge all the air out. Plus we want to kind of run the brake fluid out anyway. I want to purge the whole system and get the new stuff I put in through so that the whole new system has new fluid in it. Sometimes you gotta watch. It'll suck air around the fitting up here. It looks pretty good. So I am gonna keep doing that. So I get maybe a color change in it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to set up. I'm going to go do the other side, the same thing. And fell down. I'll lock that up. And I'll flip over the other end, do the same on the other side. Fortunately, I jumped ahead and I put the brake drums on. I shouldn't have done that yet because I should have showed you what was there. But there's two adjusters. VWs do not have automatic adjusting brakes. You have to adjust the brake shoes by themselves. So there's an emergency brake lever that pushes the two shoes apart. You got to make sure that that is all the way retracted. If you can remember from back a little bit ago, you saw that it was in the backwards position. And the brake shoes have star wheels. See if I can, they have star wheels that up top is where the wheel cylinder is. Up here, the wheel cylinder is bottomed out, and then here's where the two brake adjusters are. So you adjust those out so the shoes drag on the brake drum, and then you back them off just a little bit. So that's what we're going to go do right now, is get those guys. You see the wheels locked up. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. That one gets adjusted the other direction. Looks like they're pretty well adjusted up. Good. So I'm going to do that to all four wheels. Make sure the brake shoes are all the way up. And I bought new dust caps for here. I'll put those on. You can kind of feel it too, you know. And then after this car gets driven, I'm going to run it around town. Yeah, take it to the diner. Like little 5 and 10 mile trips, just kind of keep an eye on things. After the crap kind of burns off, I'm going the wrong way. After the crap burns off of the drums and the shoes, everything kind of settles, I'll come back one more time and do one final adjustment. I like to actually kind of crank them down a little bit, then back off. It kind of settles the shoe in case the shoe isn't quite in the center. There you go. So they're all adjusted all the way around. The driver's front took a lot of adjustment too. Let's see what we get for a pedal. It's not bad. We'll probably get a little bit better again when it runs, and we settle it in one more time. Let's go block that with a piece of wood, and we'll just check, make sure all 4 tires are locked up. Something like that. One. That one's not doing anything, is it? Put a little bit more pressure on that master cylinder. Just when you think you're all set, the brake line down there decided to go bye-bye. I have one of those, but this car has to get out of here. I got other stuff I got to work on. So again, this is a fill-in. I was kind of hoping to be able to run around, drive it around for a little bit, but not until that guy gets fixed. So I guess that'll be another project for another time. And wheels are back on it. I can still yard drive it the way it is and get this kicked out of here. So I'm going to take a few minutes to just say thank you for coming around and watching and wrenching. We didn't get much accomplished on this time around. We thought we had some engine problems that we didn't, which is a good thing. And we took care of some brake issues in the back, but we still have other brake issues to get along with. So till that, the seat's got to come out, the back seat's got to come out, and we might get into, you know, painting and doing all the crap on that side if we're going to tear it all apart. We'll see. Till next time.